This is Rob Zombie. You can listen to iWalter. I haven't heard it yet, but maybe it's good.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who, disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Yeah. Hey, it's me. It's Walter, and it is October 26th. It's hard to believe there's only like a few days left, and next Monday, once again, very hard to believe. Next, let me just see if I can adjust my level. Yeah, next Monday. Did I say Wednesday? I'm losing track of time. I apologize. My sleep schedule is way off right now because I slept when I got home because I had to work first shift at my job today to do some, what do you call it? I had some class to go to. It was an 8-hour class, and only was working on 2 hours worth of sleep. So, I was just way out of it. I guess I have a few things. I just figured, well, right now, by the way, folks, it is Wednesday morning. And again, there's only a few days left. Next Monday's the last day of the month. I was almost ready to say the year, but no, the last day of the month already. I mean, it's just hard to believe how time really does fly. I guess when you get older, they always say it seems like, in so many words or less, like time just progressively goes faster. Like your life just passes through. Like when you're a kid, I know, like, the summers seem to take forever. Maybe it's just because of the amount of a responsibility. I don't know, but it's like going down a hill where you pick up momentum, as you go, go further down a steep hill. I'm just using it as an analysis. That's what it feels like. So, yeah, but I remember being a kid, and summers always seemed forever. School seemed forever, when you're in school. Just the whole thing was like, it just seemed like there was no end. It's like, and you always look, I don't think I was one, but most people always can't wait till they grow up so they can do more things. It's like, and then when you get to an older age, like you kind of regret it then. It's like, well, things aren't as fun. They seem forever, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, again, just because the fact was I was able to, get done. I actually got home around 5 o'clock today, and normally I don't get home until 5 p.m. Normally I don't go to work until 4, and I don't get home until about 1 a.m. That's why I haven't done the shows lately, because it's just been kind of, getting the best of me. After 2 years, believe it or not, it's just been too hard. So today I get home. I slept until about 10:30. I was so tired, and even that wasn't enough sleep. So I know I've mentioned this before, but I have to mention they got some really good movies lately. Anybody can get it. It's free on the internet, by the way. Horror 24/7. All you have to do is look for the web link, or you can get it on your smartphone. Your tablet PC, certain TVs have it, was Pluto TV, and they have that thing called Horror 24/7. It is absolutely free, folks, but it has, like, incredible movies, and the fact that they show horror movies, they don't show you the normal movies. They do, but they show you movies you would have never heard of before, and they're all absolutely free. There's no charge to it at all. So I'm, like, watching this. In fact, last night was really cool. That's one thing that kept me awake. There was a movie on called Witchery. I should have looked that one up because I've been trying to look for different things. And it was with Linda Blair and David Hasselhoff as a very young guy. Like, he was like, you can tell it was him, but it was like even prior to being on Knight Rider. Because, I mean, he looked that young. He looked like he was in his early 20s. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I wasn't going to look for it, but maybe I will now. A little quirky, but it was like, okay, this is something I've never seen before. It was like Linda Blair being a little bit older, and definitely David Hasselhoff being really young. It's a very quirky movie, by the way. Let's see if I can find it. Again, it was one I was, since I mentioned, it's like I better look it up. Okay, here we go. Actually, I found it. 1988, an hour and 36 minutes. Yeah, David Hasselhoff, Linda Blair, Catherine Hickland. Don't know who that is. Yeah, I don't recognize it besides those two main. But some of the faces looked kind of familiar in other ways. Ann Ross. People I've seen in it's maybe bad horror movies. Who knows? Because this was definitely up there. But it was an interesting film. I mean, I'm always finding weird movies on this Horror 24/7, and it was funny. I mean, this is 1988 when this movie was out. But there's even one scene. It looked like because. By the way, that is one station, like it's an internet network that has these stations on there, like Horror 24/7. The movies are uncut. Now, the problem is they became really, really popular. And at least Horror 24/7, a couple other stations did, and they show the same commercials, like they were paid commercials, the same ones over and over again, like every 15 minutes. That's the only thing that's a little annoying. But you definitely get a taste for many different types of films. Now, it's funny because there's this one part, I'm looking at it now on some screenshots of the film, where these people, there's this witch, from, I guess, Salem days that is in this house, in this movie Witchery. And it's kind of funny. They go through this, these people are getting pulled into this vortex from this witch. And this vortex is the same one they've used. They just changed the coloration. The same one they used to use in Doctor Who with Tom Baker and John Pertwee's last season. That time vortex for Doctor Who. It's the same. It's the same effect. So I don't know how they do it, but they stole it for this movie. And I know, like, for a fact that John Pertwee was like his last year, 1974, I believe. That's when Tom Baker came in, I think, until about 1981. That was used for the credits of Doctor Who, but it's the same exact one. I thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, there was this one actress in there. They show nudity, and you can tell it was so obvious. The woman actually had, it's the first time I've seen it. I mean, that's not that old of a movie, but she definitely had breast implants. It was so obvious. And I think that was like back when they were still using silicone because they were like really, really firm and obviously unusually big for her body. Not like super big like some models will get, but it was definitely a little abnormal and kind of stuck out, no puns intended. So... yeah, that was like one of the movies. I mentioned some other films that Horror 24/7 has shown. Now, I have a couple things why I brought that up. I hope I didn't shut everything down now. Yeah, but they have a movie on right now. It's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Now, that movie is, to say the least, it's really bad. But that actually started like that whole series of people because a lot of people back in the day, back in their early 70s when that first movie came out, it was like when it was independent films. Most people really didn't give it too much credit. It was just considered like Last House on the Left. It was just like one of those movies you kind of knew it was out there. You would rent it from the video store. Never really gave too much thought behind it. But once they came off of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, that seemed to open up a whole new thing for that movie. Like, people actually recognized the Texas Chainsaw Massacre as, like, from the second one, it became a series of movies. And none of them were really that good. And I'm looking now, like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre actually got, like, 1 star. It was really bad, but back in the day, that was what we would, go to see as far as horror movies go. So that's on, like, Horror 24/7 right now. And I mean, there's back in the day, these movies were like the only thing out there again. Because I mean, I saw a bunch of movies. Sorry about that. The original Canadian version of what was it? My Bloody Valentine, which I still think back when I first saw that really not only creeped me out because I was a little kid, but it also made me like grossed out. My Bloody Valentine, what is it? Galaxy of Terror, which is the best. That was a very perverse movie. Texas Chainsaw Massacre definitely had its perversity in that movie. It was just so bad, not much in location scenes. It was a very low budget film. But it was definitely scripted because it had, one very famous actor at the time. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say he had passed away, I think, a while back, was Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper was like a big character actor that just, he's known for Speed, I think that movie Speed, and obviously just his profanity, obviously Blue Velvet. He's just was an actor, was just known for just being crazy. Bill Moseley is another one who mainly he's a character actor. He's known for just playing wacky people in movies, Devil's Reject, House of a Thousand Corpses. Obviously, since I'm talking about it, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. He said he actually was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, Halloween. I mean, he's just basically, he's a character actor. Like, the guy looks completely different when he's out of, he plays somebody who looks completely, he like transforms himself. I mean, the guy does not look like these wacky characters that he plays. Now, the one actually I was really surprised about, like, she's a scream queen, is this woman named Caroline Williams. Now, she's aged, they said she's aged 59. She is from Texas. She has a very strong Southern accent. And back in the day, because I had to do a rubberneck on her looks, because back when she did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, till now, you can tell it's the same person, but she either had really bad plastic surgery, I was thinking to myself, or she just basically aged really badly. I mean, honestly, she's like 10 years older than me, but she looks, she's a great actress. Don't get me wrong. I won't take that away from her. I don't even know if she does, but she's a character actress. She is a scream queen. And now when I'm looking at her now, on the horror 24/7. This was back in 1986 when she did that film of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. She played the Scream Queen in there, and it was like, I have to take a double look because she is just like completely, in my opinion, she was like really hot. And, I don't know what happened. Again, some people like myself, we just age really badly. Or I'm like looking at some pictures of her, and she's like extremely hot, like back in '86, and even before that. Obviously when she was much younger. She's from Texas. Again, I don't know what it is. She's like a really good actress. I would put her on the top of the Scream Queen collection, believe it or not. But yeah, even in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, she's just like incredibly hot. I mean, I just can't say enough about how hot she looked. So it'd be interesting to meet her, but she's aged so badly. But she played in I'm looking at a list of things she's been in. She's been in a lot. But the one thing I remember, and it was the Leprechaun, one of the Leprechaun movies, the one with the casino. Was that Leprechaun? Yeah, I think it was. And Leprechaun 3. And she was like, that's the first time I ever saw her. And then I saw her in these movies of, what was it? Hatchet. And she was really good. She was really, really good. But I'm looking at the list of movies. Again, her name is Caroline Williams. She's got a list of movies, but back in the day, she was like incredibly hot. I mean, she's just all around. She's an incredible actress. I'm looking at the stuff she's done, like 85. It says Alamo Bay, and I don't know, Legend of Billie Jean. Excellent movie, by the way. Woman in Pickup. She is like been in some good films, because that is one film, by the way, Billie Jean, The Legend of Billie Jean, is one of my most favorite movies of all time. So that's on my, what do you call it, like a bucket list of films or whatever. That would be one of them. Obviously, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. She actually came back to do Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 back in 89. Days of Thunder. I'm just going through because I can't, actually, she's got so much on her list. I didn't realize the amount of work she has done over the years. Murder, She Wrote, which was a TV show, obviously, Leprechaun 3, Drift in School, Models Incorporated, ER, like TV shows. They kind of conglomerated everything from TV shows to movies. She was actually in Nip Tuck. It said she was in Halloween 2 as Dr. Maple. I didn't realize that because I've seen Halloween 2. Oh, okay, it's the remake, the 2009 with, she was in that, which I don't remember. The one with Rob Zombie had made. Or I kind of said that wrong. Grey's Anatomy. I'm going again back and forth with her stuff. Monster Piece Theater, Volume 1. Don't Look in the Basement. It was a movie made in 2011. There's been definitely a lot of movies with that same name. Hatchet 3. She was both in 2 and 3, I thought, of Hatchet. It says 3. Again, she's a very, very good actress. She's a screen queen. Another good movie that I did watch, she was in, I didn't realize, is a movie called Contracted. Pretty disturbing movie, actually. Blood Valley, Seeds, Revenge. Never heard of it. I said I was going to stick to the ones I knew, and I kind of changed that. Sharknado, The Fourth Awakens. So she's actually going to be in the fourth Sharknado now. Again, I like her. It's just, she's been in some really good films. Again, she is definitely well known as a scream queen at this point. She's up there with the rest of the other ones. It's just amazing how her face just kind of transformed. Again, it could be just age, and I feel bad for picking on the poor woman because I think she's on the top of my list of really good horror scream queen actresses. But it's just amazing how when I see her, she's got these cut off shorts. Her panties are almost hanging out, and in one scene in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and she looked incredibly hot. And I think that, to me, that just turns me on because she has that really strong Southern accent as well. If you look at her now, you're going to say, Walter, you're more nuts than I already knew you were, because you think if this woman's hot. It's yeah, but you got to see her from years ago. And most people are saying, well, she still didn't look hot then. I know some of my friends, what they will say. Oh, I forgot about this one thing. I will bring this up now because I know I'll lose it if I don't lose the thing. I found this video on Facebook with Scott Baio. Now, most people probably don't know Scott Baio at this point. I do, because if you grew up with Happy Days, which I actually refuse to watch anymore because of my bad experience with Henry Winkler, he was Chachi. He was in most of a good chunk of the TV show of Happy Days for a good amount of years. Now, Scott Baio, I think he might be about my age or maybe a little bit older. I don't know. But anyway, he is very much so a Trump supporter. And I was watching this, and it just blew my mind because he did this video himself. You can tell he's just basically got it set up on his cell phone, probably on a tripod, basically telling people what they should listen to from him. And this video was on October 18th, and it was from #YouOwnIt. I would say definitely check it out. I could have done a rip on this. I don't really want to at this point. It just would be too time-consuming for me. But it's not very long, but what it says is a very powerful statement from him. So, he's just basically let you know, hey, what you will encounter if you really think that Hillary is a better choice for being our next president. So, I definitely say check that out. I totally forgot about it, actually, so I was looking for some stories. Now, here's one that was kind of funny. I just popped this up on my Facebook last minute, and I got something to mention about Facebook, too. I had some interest in they're keeping my countdown, I think, until after November 9th is my guess, because my original account with all my information is still locked out. So, and I'm a big Trump supporter, so I can kind of, I mean, I could be just exaggerating, but I think they're going to keep it down until after elections. But anyway, this was pretty neat, for something different, lighthearted, from directexposure.com. Actors that look a lot younger than they actually are. So I started going through some of them, and some of them were like, well, that's not that impressive. I think one or two of them were. I'm going to go through because some of these actresses and actors will play kids in their early 20s and even past that. One actor in particular who actually was in his early 30s was in this mix, used to be on that show I liked with Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana, and that guy was like in his 30s playing like a 16-year-old, like early 30s. He literally looked like he was 16 years old. So that's pretty scary. I mean, some people just have that problem, like that one actor, I can't remember his name, who played on, he was a black little guy. He actually looked like a little kid, even probably way past his 30s. I can't remember that actor's name. Anyway, I'm going to look at a couple of these again. I did really not want to because they just load so slow. Rachel Adams was one. I mean, they give their ages now, 37. They say she looks a lot younger than she is. Now, this one woman, I recognized her was Elizabeth Banks because I know her from, she was in 40-Year-Old Virgin, but she also was in that movie, what was it? Because they had it. It says Pitch Perfect. She's actually really a great-looking woman. But, what else did they say she played in? Recently, she's really known, she was in Seabiscuit. Hunger Games, that's the one I'm thinking. She's only 42. So I see those ages, anything under the age of 49, to me, they seem all young. Seth Green, they actually put in that mix. Again, there was like a ton of them. Okay, here's one that actually surprised me is Chuck Norris. He's actually 76 years old, and that man looks great. I mean, he's aged, so, I mean, the man keeps good care of himself. Even though I don't agree with the politics with the man I met the other night of Henry Rollins, that man looks really good. He's 55, and if you don't look, like, it's women have this problem, but he's a man with the same problem that most women do. Like, some women look really, I'm not going to use this word, but I'm using this as from a woman's perspective, on a woman. But some women, like, look really hot. I mean, we got some women I work with that are, like, in their 40s, late 40s, and they look really hot. But the thing that gives their age is you can't hide it in your hands. And that's the same thing with Henry Rollins. Like, the man looks incredibly in, like, great shape at 55. That's not that old. He's only 5 years older than me. But when you get down to his hands, you can see where the age starts to show. I mean, hey, if I could just get away of this, like, the fountain of youth, and I just have to give up my hands, I would do that almost. Now, here's what I agree with, because I'm just watching him in this new series. He's only 35, though. And I knew he played in Lord of the Rings, was Elijah Wood. He's, like, played in some really weird movies, some really bad movies. He's actually in that new not Hitchhikers. Close. It was that movie I just mentioned, our TV show called Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, which I read the first book partially through, and I just couldn't stand it, from Douglas Adams. But he always looks like a little kid, and he's like 35. That's not too bad, but he does not age at all. They're trying to say that Andriana Grande or whatever, she's only 23, but they're insistent she does look like a little girl. She looks like a kid. I heard she's a real piece of work to, like, work with, because she's a real diva. But she continues to play, like, teenagers just because she looks like a kid. And I remember, but that was like 5 years ago, because I saw Victoria Justice, who used to be on that show Victorious. Well, Andriana played on there. She played like a 16 or 15-year-old when she was in her early 20s, but she's 23. And they're saying but this was like 5 years ago, so she had to be at least in her teens when she did the Victoria Justice show, Victorious. So, I mean, I've seen that. Like I said, they got some people that played on Disney characters on that Disney network that were actually in, like, late 20s, early 30s that look like they were like 16 years old and they got away with it. I mean, I just love to know their secret. Sometimes it's just in your genetics. It just happens that you got the best set of genes. I don't know what else to say. Now, this one, I mean, he does look good. I just think they're really pushing it is because I like the man is Vin Diesel. He's 48. It's like, yeah, the man looks good, but 48, he looks about his age. One that almost kind of impresses me because I really have a love Jones for her. And believe it or not, out of many women is Sandra Bullock. She's 52. Now, Sandra Bullock, I mean, I always thought she was hot. I always think she will be. She's just one person who takes care of herself. Jennifer Lopez, 47 years old. Yeah, she takes care of herself. Yeah, I don't know this guy. I'm not going to pronounce this. This one guy I'm just going to skip over. I'm going to go to the people I know. Samuel L. Jackson, I love him as an actor. He's 67. I think the worst thing that's happened to him, he's just put on a lot of weight from years ago. Yeah, he does actually. Otherwise, he looks the same. I mean, he's an excellent actor. I don't know how else to put it. Dylan McDermott is 54. Yeah, I mean, these guys, they just take care of themselves. Jared Leto, not that big of a deal. He does look a lot younger than he really is. He's actually 44 years old, but the man's he's very much into health. Now, here's one that really, because I can never remember his name. I always refer to him as Luke Picard because that's how, is Patrick Stewart. I mean, that man, honestly, he seems like he looks better now, personally, than he did when he was on Star Trek. And he's 76 years old. Seriously, he looks much better now. And I think he just lives a good life. I think he has a wife who's like, or whatever, that's like half his age. I mean, hey, more power to him. If I could do that, I would be doing the same thing. Trust me, I'm not going to deny that fact. Another person I always had a love Jones for, and believe it or not, the first time I really fell in love with this actress was when she did Leprechaun, Jennifer Aniston. No, it wasn't from Friends. It did help. No, but it was actually from Leprechaun. She played in the original Leprechaun. She's 47. That's not that bad. She is actually where I thought she was really hot was that movie Horrible Bosses. That was like a 20 Kleenex film in that because she was very funny. Never really watched it except the scenes with her playing the really bad boss, but she was super hot too. Rob Lowe. I think Rob Lowe is he's 52. I don't think that's old anymore. Trust me. But he takes good care of himself. Paul Rudd, 47. I mean, they're making a big deal of these guys. They look good, but you're really just pushing it a little bit too far. John Stamos, which I think he's actually playing in that Scream Queens. I think that's John Stamos. 53 years old. Yeah, some of these guys, they keep themselves like 20-year-old guys. And I don't blame them. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm like the type of person, I don't like to work out. Because somebody asked me, they said, oh, do you work out? And I said, no, I actually don't. I mean, if you can incorporate as working out like masturbation, then I work out like all the time, like a freaking maniac. But otherwise, yeah, you won't see me in a gym or anything else. And if I did go to a gym, it would basically be me, again, incorporating, hey, does that include, like, masturbation? Because then, yeah, I'd be working out, watching the women working out. I'm being sarcastic. Well, no, never mind. Maybe I'm not. Now, here's another one. I always thought she was really hot. It was Julianne Moore. Now, I didn't like her when she replaced the main character. She was the same character, the main actress in the movies of The Silence of the Lambs, the Hannibal Lecter movies. I thought she was all right. I always have a love fetish for redheads, and she was definitely one. No, the one that actually did it for me with Julianne Moore was when she did some movie. She played like it was supposed to be a comedy spinoff, or not a spinoff, but some type of on the same line of Ghostbusters kind of movie. I'm going to see if I can find it real quick. And she was so hot in that movie that, like, that was the one that was like, okay, yeah, she's definitely. I'll have to look for her age too. I'm going to look for this movie she was in, if I can find it. because she's done a lot. Julianne Moore is like a great actress, period. But I don't know if I can find it. But since she was in Tales of the Dark Side, she was so hot in that movie. And there was one part she plays like a complete, I mean, like almost like equivalent to a dumb blonde. And I think she just had what she was wearing, the way she acted was just so freaking hot that it was like, that was like a 20 Kleenex movie for me. She's like 55, though, it says now. And yeah, she's still, I mean, some women just look better as they get older. God, I wish I could find the name of the movie that I'm talking about. Yeah, she's like a super hot redhead. What else can I say? I'm going through all her movies, but I'm going to have to just put her in for comedy, and that probably will show up because it's actually probably was so bad, the movie, that, you know, Julianne Moore. I'm putting it in right now. It's Boogie Nights she was in. I actually put for comedy. I'm putting comedy movies. I can't even shorten it anymore, and it's not coming up. She was like, it was supposed to be like a spoof or a parody almost on. I can't think of the name of the movie, but it was like a spoof on like Ghostbusters / the X-Files. And yeah, I can't find it right now. In fact, it's not working at all. But yeah, Julianne Moore was, that one movie just was like, I saw her in that, was like, I remember seeing the previews to the movie. Now I'm like curious if I can even find it on, let me see, bookmarks, or let's see, Amazon, the movie. I want to say like Biodome or something, but it's not that. No, it was really weird movie. And I know I saw it, and she played like, again, like equivalent to, I can't even find the freaking film. That's really weird. Because I remember at one point, I think like when I had cable, I think I tried to record the movie or something like that, and just pause the scenes where she looked like really, really hot, which she did. Yeah, I can't find. Now I'm like I'm going to waste most of my show just trying to find this movie. It must be like it might have been an insult to her, you know, her career, because again, you can't find the film, which is kind of weird. I guess I'll just have to look. Well, actually, I'm going to do one more thing, folks. Julianne Moore. I'm going to look on Rotten Tomatoes. Now that, you know, they can't hide anything. Now you're probably thinking, well, Walter, it's probably one of these times you're just actually, you're probably getting like the actress wrong. Like, no, actually, no, I'm not. Okay, I'm going to go through her movies, and I will probably be able to find it. But let's see. I'm going through them now. Sorry about this. I didn't mean to do this. Fugitive, Roommates, Boogie Nights, Lost, Fingerprints, Chicago Psycho. I think it was Evolution. The movie was called Evolution. Yeah, because it had, let's see, it was Evolution. Yeah, because it had David Duchovny in there, too. That is one movie, I'm sorry, but with her in there, there was like a certain scene that I actually had a screenshot, or do a screenshot, something like that, and it was like masturbation material for quite a while because she looked like so freaking hot. And actually, they did have some really good comedians / actors in there. But yeah, apparently that movie must be so bad that they made sure to erase that from her profile. I mean, seriously. And there's one black actor in there. He's really good. He actually played, I don't know his name. I really liked him in that movie, of H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, the remake of the film, not the book, obviously, but the film. Can't remember the actor's name. But he was in some other stuff, too. The actor's actually really good. I like him, too. Well, Evolution, let's see. It was 48%. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a rotten 42%. Like, it couldn't get any worse. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not saying the movie was great. I just got the movie because, one, it had her in there. What do you call it? God, she's not even in the credits on Rotten Tomatoes right away. How bad can that be? Julianne Moore. But yeah, the Evolution movie. God, when did that come out again? I'm trying to look for that. I've never seen a movie that they really just try to race it off her record. I mean, like, tried. So, excuse me. I'm trying to, again, just real quick. I mean, I wasted this much time. Okay, 2001. So that was like, wow, that was 15 years ago, that movie. There was something about that movie, though. She looked really hot. I'm sorry, I'm just going to go off about Julianne Moore now. I'm just trying to go through. It's like, I guess it's the same. They were trying to do something different. Like, they got the, same people, not necessarily the comedians who came up with Ghostbusters, but it was supposed to be like, okay, we're not at that time we're not going to make another Ghostbusters, so instead we're going to make something completely different on that kind of line, which was the movie Evolution. But again, it just obviously it was just so bad, I guess, so badly taken that I really didn't care, because the only thing I cared about was the way Julianne Moore looked in the movie. She was basically playing kind of a clumsy, goofy woman, but she looked really hot, in my opinion. So I went way astray, but Julianne Moore, again, 55, the people who don't look their age. Gwen Stefani, which I was actually most tempted to go see her at a meet and greet, would have got her to do a plug for my show, but obviously I never did that. She's 46, but to me that's not that old. I mean, I guess it's just her physique. She looks like a little kid all the time. Allison, I can't say her name, but the girl who played on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the redheaded girl, I liked her because she's How I Met Your Mother. I think she's on that show. She was on there for years. I could never get into that show, by the way, How I Met Your Mother. I started watching it on Netflix, and I stopped watching because I always had a love Jones for her, too, and she's only 42. But, that's actually really young. She kind of aged pretty much, she looks like a 42-year-old. I don't know how else to put it. Might leave it off with her because here's the person I was looking for that was on Disney, and I saw it years ago, and I couldn't believe how much older he really was from the character he was playing. And his name is Jason Earls. Like, this guy is set for life with Disney. Jason Earls actually is best known from Hannah Montana. He played the brother on the TV show of Miley Cyrus. And he looked literally like a 16-year-old. And I looked him up back in the day. It was like, he was in his early 30s. Now, he's 39 now. He's still, in my opinion, he's still young. But he has not changed at all. I mean, he was playing like at a 30-year-old. As a 30-year-old, he was playing a 16-year-old. And he really looked like he was 16. So, I mean, for somebody like that, if you want to, like me, I always wanted to get into entertainment. Jason Earls is like perfect because he looks like a teenager. He continues to play a teenager even at the age of pushing 40. And he's just got the gift that he's it could be a curse too, but he's got, for as far as a job in entertainment, especially with Disney, which is one of the biggest corporations on the globe, he's going to have a job for the rest of his life working on Disney until like he would screw it up, because Oh, okay. Wait, he was 28, so I apologize. But still, he was 28 years old, it said. It says, you remember him. I'm just going to read Jason Earle's one, because I thought I was just like, blew my mind. Like, literally, just blew my mind back in the day. Yeah, I remember him. He played Jackson Stewart on the Disney Hannah Montana, and then moved on to another Disney XD show called Kickin' It. When he started off on Hannah Montana, he was already a 28-year-old man playing a teenage boy, which I really thought, I'm not even kidding, I thought this guy was like literally 16 years old. I didn't know he was 28 at that time, so I was wrong. I knew he was in his early 30s, but I was off by about 2 years. Yes, he was already a married man, and when he started that show, then now he's already, like, he's 39. So, yeah, I didn't even know that. So he was married, a married guy, and he got casted on that show, which was very popular. I know when I worked in this daycare at my job years ago, he was like, not him, but the show Hannah Montana was really big. And when I saw this guy, I was like, yeah, I thought Disney was the only, to this date, generally, the people that, how can I say this? The people that they cast on these different parts in these Disney shows, they are all pretty much teenagers. He was the only one that did not fit that mold. Like, he wasn't a teenager. He was a grown man, a married man, playing a teenager. So it was just like, really, it was kind of strange that when I saw that, I was like, you got to be kidding. This guy got to be a teenager. Because it's just one of these things. It fools you. So I'm skipping another one. Now, here's another one everyone knows. Jim Parsons, because he plays, the character on The Big Bang Theory. And they're making a big deal because they said he's 40 years old. Well, he looks like he's 40. I mean, he's been on The Big Bang Theory for almost 8 years now or something like that. Let me see what it says about him real quick. The hilarious. Now, he started out on Disney or Nickelodeon, believe it or not, as a character. The hilarious Jim Parsons brings us joy and a lot of information about physics and comic books on the weekly basis thanks to The Big Bang Theory. You probably guessed that he was much younger than he actually is, maybe somewhere around his early to mid-30s, like we assume that his character Sheldon Cooper is. But he's actually over the age of 40. They say over the age of 40. They say he's 40 years old. Well, if he's 40, how can he be over 40? Like, what, by a couple days? Maybe playing a character who is so intelligent, neurotic, and such a know-it-all keeps you looking super young. I would say he looks about his age. I mean, it's nothing wrong with that. 40 is awfully young to me anymore. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't even know this person. Somebody named Gabrielle, a woman. She's really not bad looking at all. Union says she's 43. Now, I guess she does look like she's like 10 years younger. Ralph Macchio. I've heard of him. 54. Wow. Okay, that one actually does fool me. That one does. It's amazing how people, like, I always get picked on, like, oh, you need to grow up. And it's like people try to keep their youth as long as possible. I don't know who Sarah Hyland is. 25. They're putting her in the mix. Halle Berry. I always thought she was really hot. She's 50. I think she looks better with longer hair, personally. Liv Tyler, she's pushing 40. She's always been like, yeah, she's on my list. Eve Mendes, 42. I mean, some of these are just like, they're really kind of pushing to give these people compliments. Okay, I'm going to let it go because there's a ton of them on there. Again, if you're interested in that article, it's from a direct exposure.com, but you have to dig for that article. And I just, actually set it down. There was a couple other stories. My friend Todd, actually, thank you. He gave me two stories that I'm going to actually use probably tonight because I really don't have any other information. Now, I can't find it now. I hope I did not shut it down. But I did something. Oh, here we go. Thank goodness. It was on Twitter. Voting machine caught casting ballots for Democrats when selecting Republican. 2 exclamation points, spread exclamation point. So I've heard about this, how they're basically screwing with, to make sure Hillary, even when casting ballots, make sure she will win, even if it means by, screwing with the what do you call it, the machines. So that hasn't started. That's not going to start till November 8th, but, you could always cast your ballot early. So Twitter decided, some guy named Robbie Ball, thank you so much, Ball, at Perfect Sliders on Twitter, put something up, and it says, basically, I did retweet this, by the way, so you can actually, just to see, it's a small selection. You're talking 570 votes in the last 6 days. That is really nothing, but it kind of gives you a little reflection on, Twitter is the people on Twitter, I'm sorry, they're very, it's a very left-sided, a leftist, whatever you want to call it, social media thing. So I usually don't put too much into it. So the fact that they're showing this says an awful lot. It says an awful lot. Now, you got to remember, though, I've said this before, when it comes to when we go to vote, please do so. But in reality, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but what it's going to come down to, unfortunately, which is going to be very corrupted, is the electoral college, what is it called? The electoral college votes. So it kind of takes away, Trump could win by a landslide on the popularity vote, and yet he could lose, he could lose the presidency simply because it'll go by how many votes he's gotten from the electoral college. If he doesn't get enough votes from there, we're not going to get, at least I won't get the outcome I'd like to see. And I'm really afraid of that. I'm telling you right now. I'm not going to. I actually wanted to do a story about that. That's what I was going to actually mainly do my story on. Already it's been 47 minutes. Amazing how I can talk. So anyway, this guy Robbie Ball, I posted this thing on this story on how they're actually screwing with the Republican votes already. I guess even with the earlier ones, people are doing early registration, and they said keep an eye out for this. Watch this video also on my Twitter account. But anyway, the people who have casted a vote, which would include myself, it gives you different categories, and I'm going to read down them. 2% actually voted Republican for Clinton. So any Republican who, on this small amount of people who would vote for Clinton, is only 2%. Those that were independents for Clinton was 3%. Democrats for Clinton was only 6%. And then you get, I know it's a small amount of votes, but 89% of the people, which would include myself, of these 570 votes in the last 6 days, 89% are going to definitely vote for Trump. So there it goes from the highest being 6% for Clinton to 89% for Trump on Twitter. And Twitter is a very, again, leftist type social media. So if this is a reflection on what may come, this is very impressive. The only thing is, you got to consider, though, how corrupt is the, what do you call it, like I mentioned before, the people that are responsible for the electoral college votes. Because that's to me, is what's it has put the biggest fear into me right now. I'm just letting you know. I'm very petrified about that. But I just wanted to mention that. There was one thing anyway. Maybe I should do this now if I can remember correctly, though. But when I went and saw Henry Rollins, it's an issue that kind of is a thorn in my side. My friend Matt gets tired of hearing about it. My friend Todd kind of acknowledges my concern about this, but I've always mentioned, like, women get upset when you say, hey, listen, you got to dress a little bit, and I don't want to say dress down, but you got to dress a little bit more appropriately. Not that I have a problem. If a woman wants to dress in, like, yoga pants, lycra spandex, halter tops, workout outfits, and wear it around, and, but then get offended if, hey, you're looking at them. Now, Matt, my one friend Matt, her say, well, maybe because you just stare too long and women just get upset about the way you just stare at them. No, because you know what? I am so self-conscious about looking at people that I really just give a slight glance. And I've seen this behavior, though, opposite from mine, literally in malls and stuff. Like if I'm over the King of Prussia Mall, which has been a long time, or the Plymouth Meeting Mall, I see guys giving cat calls to these women and stuff like that. I don't give cat calls. I don't step out of line. I don't, like, glare at women that, like, I look like some type of sexual deviant pervert. I don't do shit like that. Just because I am so uptight about staring at a woman for more than 10 seconds, but yet women will look at me like I do stare at them forever, and I don't. But then I see these guys who are just really, like, they even make my skin crawl. And yet, I don't know. But the bottom line is, but what I'm trying to say, I mean, I'm just getting that out too, is, because something he had mentioned, Henry Rollins, he'll say, well, if a woman wants to wear, like, ultra tight skirts that are super short, like basically where their ass is hanging out the bottom, they should be able to do that. That basically men need, I might have mentioned this before, so part of this is going to sound like, Walter, you've already talked about this before, probably way too many times. But if a woman wants to dress a certain way, if she likes wearing yoga pants, because a friend did send me this, some group of women, actually this guy said women, got to stop wearing these yoga pants, and they need to kind of, like, they're meant for the gym. They're not meant for everyday use. And this is a different thing, and this is the truth. These women, like, retaliated on him, and a friend sent me an article where these women now went to his home. They went to his home, and they started protesting in their yoga pants. I'm not even kidding. I mean, this is just ridiculous, too. In their yoga pants, saying, well, we can wear whatever we want to wear. And it's like, well, that's fine. You can wear whatever you want to wear, but don't act like you're victimized woman who, men are just treating you like a piece of meat, that they're stalking you out, and, hey, I don't like the way men look at me. Well, it's like, it's a very simple solution to that. You just don't wear things that are actually obviously drawing way too much attention to yourself. If you don't want that attention, the easiest way around that is just don't dress that way. I mean, it's a simple solution. I mean, I'll wear, like, T-shirts that are, like, kind of funny or goofy looking, and I'll get strange looks, but you know what? Guess what? If it gets to me too much, guess what I do? I just don't wear that garment anymore. I forget what it was, because I buy, like, certain, like, kind of weird-looking clothes, even from, I'm trying to think, like, from J. Peterman. I mean, like, really cool stuff from J. Peterman, and some of it I just get, like, looks, like, because they're like, I don't want to say dated, but their clothes, they're kind of looking like Renaissance looking or things like that. It's like, well, they're really cool. They're very comfortable. They're not extreme looking clothes. I mean, they're just, clothes that are just a little bit cut differently, like a poet shirt or something like that style. And I know I wore it one time, and I got, like, looks that were just, what do you call it? Just like, what is your problem? Or laughed at almost in my 40s, and I get laughed at for stuff like this. It's like, okay, I just won't wear it in places that people think that it's hilarious the way I dress. I had this backpack that A lot of people really liked it. It was the Captain America Shield backpack. I got it at the GameStop. And I got tired of people a lot of people actually liked it. They said, "Where did you get that? That's really sharp looking," a lot of women. But one woman in particular, she just constantly picked on me about it. She started laughing. It was like, you know what? I've had enough of the laughter. Being picked on, it's a little bit offensive and very inappropriate. So I just basically bought a new duffel bag, and that was the end of it. And it was like when I showed her my new duffel bag, it's not any better. It's actually a woman's duffel bag, but I just liked it. It was Harley Quinn, from it's a Harley Quinn labeled backpack, but it actually holds everything I need for work, and it's meant for women. But I got it, at a decent price. I got it when it was on sale, and use it for work now and other things. It's a really nice bag, believe it or not. But I showed it to the same woman who was laughing at me and constantly bicker me about my Captain America one, and it was like not a word. She says, no, because basically it was so so plain looking. Then the laughter stopped. It was like, yeah, this is not funny, so I can't pick on you anymore. I don't like it. So I was like, well, good. Then I actually succeed at something. My friend Matter say, well, you should not let people get to you. Well, the thing is, it's not that necessarily, which they did. It's not even necessarily that they got to me. It's the fact that, hey, if the situation becomes, unmanageable or uncomfortable for you, you just change that situation. Now, going back to women, if you don't want guys to check you out and you want to wear leggings or yoga pants and I see this constantly, the same type of behavior over the King of Prussia Mall when I was over there on Sunday or Saturday, where, women just, you look for a split second and they start pulling their shirt over their pants, over their butt, or they look at you like the guy, if they have a boyfriend, they look at you like, what are you looking at? It's like, well, no offense, dude, I don't drag my knuckles on the ground. And two, if she finds it that offensive, I tell you, like what I do, you just stop wearing or exposing yourself in a way it's drawing attention to yourself. Because you guess what? When I change my clothes attire or whatever I do or wear, people stop. Unfortunately, that's the way you deal with things. If you can't, if you don't feel comfortable enough that people are going to make comments or whatever, then the simple solution is you just stop wearing whatever it is that you find people giving you a second looks that you don't like. It's very simple. I mean, that's what I do. And if I still continue to wear certain garments or certain styles, because I've had people, it's funny, of all things, I had a guy, because they look very Doctor Who-ish with the new Doctor Who, are these Doc Martens that I got. It's very similar to the shoes that Peter Capaldi wears, and they're these boots. And I like them. They're very comfortable. They're starting to fall apart. They're basically, It's that special wing-tipped style on these boots. They don't make them anymore from Doc Martens. The original ones aren't Doc Martens. They're another brand. And the other brand, you can only buy the shoes from England. And the ones from England are I think $400. It's no offense, I bought the Doc Marten styled ones that look very similar for $100, and I've worn them for the last 2 years. Now they're starting to fall apart a little bit because I wear them constantly. The most I've ever replaced on there, and the soles are actually starting to physically, they're literally wearing out. So, but from all the use, because I drag the back of my feet, I walk on the back of my feet, so the backs are pretty much almost worn out. So just recently I bought something that looked very similar to those shoes, and it was actually on, trying to think, It was actually on Banana Republic's website where they had a 50% off sale on shoes. Like there were $200 shoes on sale for $100. Now, I bought things from Banana Republic before. I'm going way off track. I know. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I bought things from Banana Republic before, and generally it lasts a very long time. Like I have certain clothes I buy that I'm trying to think that I only wear to like weddings and funerals. The clothes you pull out of the closet, like the suit and the shoes. I have a pair of shoes I got from Banana Republic. Never bought them new. I bought them actually used. Well, on eBay, and they're special shoes that the only time they come out of my closet is for literally weddings and funerals. And but I'm sorry, I've went way off track, and I want to get back focused. But again, I mean, I got to find that story someday. Again, I'll have to ask a friend Todd to send it to me again because I can't remember where it's only a couple days old, but it already got buried in my story list of other things. Because right now, you're probably thinking, well, if you have all these stories, why don't you read them off? But honestly, most of the stories are links to people that are, I've gotten as many as I could find, are Trump supporters. So I got like literally a plethora of stuff for Trump supporters. So it would take me quite a while to dig through all that stuff to actually, not that I don't want to read each and every story about Trump or people that support Trump, but it's way, way too much. And I did that deliberately. It's like, hey, listen, you're going to take my Facebook page away. I found a way around it, open up a new one, and probably the reason was because I'm a Trump supporter. So going back on, if I can't get all the friends that I had that existed before, and part of the reason they're not giving it back is because, again, my support for Trump, then, hey, I have a simple solution. I will find as many Trump supporters on Facebook, and I will friend them each and every one of them, which I almost have done. So the only thing is now I got all these posts that come up on my Facebook page for Trump. And again, I don't have a problem with that. So anyway, going back to the Lycra spandex thing. So I'm sorry I really, had taken this story like 380 almost, so to speak. But yeah, what can I say? That's me. Sorry, I'm trying to check out some stuff. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank too. But yeah, the whole thing with the spandex thing, and going back to what I originally started with, was, sorry, I'm going, it was with, God, I am really drawing a freaking blank right now, folks. It is Henry Rollins. Okay, I'm back on track. He's back on track. So Henry Rollins was like one of the things that kind of just really perturbed me is this whole thing like, well, if women want to wear really tight short skirts, whatever, we should allow them to do that. Women can wear, I'm going to focus on that one thing because I've mentioned other things that were very offensive, he said, but I kind of just let it roll off. I personally, I thought I played the bigger man. Hey, if this guy has these beliefs that are, unrealistic, I can't take that away from him. Hey, the man's entitled to his opinion, even if it's a little bit off the wall. But that the one that really, folks, that really got to me was about, well, if women want to dress a certain way, they should be able to. And, it's these Republicans, conservatives on the right who make a big deal out of it. Oh, women can't wear tight dresses. Women can't wear, he didn't say this, but can't wear yoga pants. It's like, well, they can. But then don't bitch and complain when you have guys grabbing your ass or groping you. Well, men should know better. Well, you know what? I know better, but I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for anybody else. And what I mentioned earlier, though, and there's a reason for this story being so long in my mind, when people, like when I used to dress certain ways, not inappropriately, but things that just drew attention to myself, guess what I did? What I said earlier. I stopped wearing that certain stuff. If you want to wear that kind of stuff, you wear it around the house. You wear it amongst friends. You wear it if you're married with your loved ones or your family members. You don't wear that where you're like basically a walk-in billboard and then bitch and complain about it. That's what I have a freaking problem with. So that's what I've been trying to say over and over again. So he says this, though, and then he's being hypocritical. This is where I'm trying to get to also, folks. He's a big freaking hypocrite on this part. Here in one sentence, you say women can dress whatever they want to dress, and guys just need to basically grow up. You know, hey, you got to handle, if a woman wants to wear an ultra-tight skirt or, you know, falsely advertise her body physique, she should be able to do so. You just can't speak back because then you're a conservative wasp pig. And he didn't say that stuff. I'm saying that's what he's kind of insinuating. A wasp. You know, what is that? Protestant something. I'd have to look it up. Now you're going to make me do that. Thanks a lot, folks, because I hate doing that. God, it's been such a long time since I mentioned a wasp. Let's see. W. I have to abbreviate it, too. Period. I hope I got it close enough. Oh, I didn't even realize there's a band called Wasp, too, also. I didn't know that, so that really does not help. Well, maybe it's the way I spelled it. I'm going to try this again. Let me move my mic down. Yeah, I forgot about that. There was a band. Oh, it actually came off for a second there. Let's see if I can find it again. Let's see. White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. That basically, you know, because he said about alpha male. I mentioned that the other day with Henry Rollins. So, I mean, this man stood for that stuff. He made his fame off of basically playing that type of person, a wasp. And yet he says people that are like those people, that the one he portrayed himself as, made tons of money off of, they really need to grow up if a woman wants to dress a certain way. So, well, Walter, how's this fit into anything? That's a good question. I'm glad you asked that, folks, even though I don't have. And you know what? I could set up sometime to do a live show because eventually I'm going to use up my space provided for me from Spreaker, and I could do a live show and actually have people call in. And I could probably do a pretty good job since now I've proved I can do this. So, okay, let me put this together now. Here's a man who says a woman can dress whatever she likes. You know, a man should be more mature, should be able to, you know, act like a human being, not like an animal. If a woman wants to wear like her spandex, well, okay, let's go for this for a minute, Mr. Rollins, because you believe that, you know, a woman is entitled to wear what she wants. It shouldn't make a difference. Well, then I was like watching or listening. I forgot about this segment actually on my show, and I'm going to bring it up now, even though it's after an hour already. It's hard to believe. And there were some other segments I do have open. I want to read or talk about. It was when he was on when he got approached by RuPaul. RuPaul wanted him to be a celebrity, you know, judge on his show, which I mentioned the other day. I never finished the story, so I'm going to finish it now. On the RuPaul Drag Race, which I actually didn't watch the last season. I thought the show was actually really good. The first season I caught was probably the best. It was like one of the most popular ones because it had this guy who plays, this is a good example, folks, Courtney Act. The guy really, as a woman, he looks like a woman, like convincingly a hot woman. I'm not making this up, you know, as Henry Rollins said, and this wasn't the season with Henry Rollins, by the way. But the guy who plays Courtney Act. You could just put Courtney Act and you will find, and you will see what I mean. I'm going to do that right now myself. Let me move my mic back down. He's from Australia. I think even like people like my woman from back in the day from Australia, I love, Olivia Newton-John, like actually approves of this guy. Because he convincingly sounds and looks like a woman. He's got the curves of a woman, and he does wear ultra-tight short skirts. Now, you're saying, okay, there's a guy, man with a penis who, he literally looks, when he's a guy, he looks like a guy. When he's a woman, he looks like a freaking beyond super hot woman. I'm not making that up. And I've seen him transform himself, and I can't even believe it's the same person. Like, you literally think that this guy has a sister who you want to fuck. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. And she did not win, or he did not win Drag Race when he did it. But bottom line is, Courtney Act looks like a woman. Now, that's all through makeup, padding for his ass, whole 9 yards. This man could strip. I'm looking now. He can strip down to a freaking bikini, and he still looks like a freaking, hot woman. I mean, this is the kind of guy who will make women jealous because he really sounds and looks like a woman. And how this all got started with this actor, was he was on like one of these American Idols, but the one for Australia, and he could not win. He couldn't even get, he got knocked off the show like before it even started practically with him as a contestant. So then he finally okay, you know what? Then I'll just come back as a woman and see where that takes me. And it was like the transformation. The next, literally, he tried out again for I can't remember the actor's name. He tried out again, and right away, he just became, overnight success. I mean, I'm not even kidding. In fact, I don't even think he uses his regular name anymore because I'm trying to look for it. Because he used to. Let's see. No, they actually... Nationality, Australian. He actually is West Hollywood, California now. I guess his name is Shane. His man's name is Shane. But I'm telling you, you cannot tell. Now, how this all fits into place. This will all fit into place, believe it or not. Courtney Act is in my opinion, one of the best examples. I mean, again, I'm looking at a publicity shot. He's in a bikini, and just through, I don't want to say airbrushing, but I mean, literally just the way he... his legs, his ass, his whole body looks like a freaking woman. I'm sorry. When he dresses up like a woman. When he's a guy, he looks like a guy. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, I've seen a lot of these different drag queens and on RuPaul's Drag Race. This one is you really cannot tell. There's a couple other ones that are really just that good. Courtney Act is just one. Honestly, you really think it's a woman. You'd have to pinch yourself to say, listen, dude, this woman is a guy. It's definitely crying game squared or whatever. I mean, it's freaky. It is really fucking freaky. So how does this fit into play? Well, women can dress any way they like to. Going back to that. It shouldn't make a difference if a woman wants to dress a certain way. Well, people like Courtney Act, though, what is it? I'm sure he gets hit on quite a lot when he's the character of the woman. I mean, because his whole, again, I'm just telling you, his whole physique looks just like a woman. You would think this person has a vagina. You would not think that this guy has a penis. How else can I put it? And, he is absolutely the most convincing drag queen I've ever saw, and it's never had any corrective surgery. So, the man has now made, his whole career out of this. So, and it's not even that, he's not that old. I think he's probably only in his 20s. I mean, I was actually tempted to go when he was up. The closest he's ever been around here was New York. Just to see him in one of his acts is like, dude, you are like so convincing. And he gets a lot of guys who do hit on him that aren't just gay but heterosexuals, because he looks like a woman. I don't know how else to put it. He really looks like a woman. There is no other way to put it. I mean, from ass to toe to head. So again, why I'm going so strongly into this is the same reason I said with the whole, getting the Christmas present at Christmas, where hey, it looks great, but when you take the wrapping off, you're in for a very rude awakening that the gift you're getting is not what you want. It's the same thing the way women dress. You take the makeup off, you take the spandex pants, you take the halter top, you take the girdle off, you take the the hair extensions off, whatever, and you end up with a very, I don't mean this, I don't know how else to put it, but a very surprisingly different looking female than the one you thought you were going to go to bed with. Now, that's for a woman, but imagine a man who does that, and it really looks, I mean, a Courtney Act has fooled so many freaking people, it's not even funny. He's like literally, or she has fooled millions of people. And when he's himself, the guy who is the actor, when he's himself, not even with the fake voice, it's really his voice, and he's just a guy, he looks just like every other normal looking guy. When he's in drag, that is not a man. That is like literally, by no doubt, it looks like a woman. I don't know how else to put it. So why again? Well, okay, let me go back to Henry Rollins. Henry Rollins, here he is. He's on as a judge for the one season. I'm curious to see which season he was on, because I've only missed like the last season I haven't paid for. And this is obviously after Courtney Act was on, and I think I got the season afterwards and watched it. So it had to be like probably this past year he was on. And bottom line is, he said, yeah, when I was a judge, he said, I know these are guys, on, wow, Courtney Act is actually dressed up like Olivia Newton-John. At her star in Hollywood, and yeah, he does. When she was in, what was that? Grease. With the tight span, or what do you call it? The leather pants, and he does look just like Olivia Newton-John. I mean, he's even got the curves she does. I'm serious. The man looks like a woman. He pulls it off, and again, but going back to, yeah, he's got a video now that he's actually shooting himself. He does look, he's got like the curves, the whole 9 yards, just like Olivia Newton-John. It's really scary though. I'm not surprised, and he's Australian too, so, and he can pull the voice off, so he's like, again, he's probably going to be one of the best. He is the only one who's incredibly like looks like, you're going to do, what can I say? You will do the Crocodile Dundee thing, where you're going to be grabbing the woman's crotch just to make sure that there's no package below. That's how scary it is. There's another drag queen who's really scary too, who also really looks like a woman, without a doubt. But what was I going to say? Henry Rollins is on Drag Race, which, again, I want to see this season now because I'm just curious to see his reaction. He said that he knows these are guys dressed up in drag, but he says when they're on stage trying to perform and, do their thing to win the contest, because that contest will make this drag queen's career. Like, once they do that, their career is, basically it's made. Because they set them up, what do you call it? RuPaul really sets these guys up with, like, even if you don't win, if you make it into the final, the final group of people, you're still pretty much set. Like, Courtney Act is definitely, been one of them. There's been other guys who've gone on and been very successful from being on that show. So, again, I'm going astray. I apologize. But I'm just going by his stage name because that's the one people kind of are familiar with. And if you do look him up, you'll see what I mean. But, here again is, what do you call it? Henry Rollins, he's on there, and he was saying, he says, oh, I know these are guys, but when they start, doing that, sexy dance or something, I forget the terminology used. When they do that, they dress like women and starting the dance, grinding and stuff. He said, I knew these were women, but I don't know how else to put it. But he said, but then he said he started. I mean, how else could I put it? But he said he started getting a hard on. He's like, I'm starting he says, oh, I'm 55 years old, so it had to be recently, and. I know these are guys, but they are so convincing as a women, he said, that he started, he said he forgot himself, or at least he didn't forget himself, but his penis did, and he started getting a hard-on. And he was like, yeah, this was really embarrassing. He said, I'm trying to tell myself, but he said when you see him do that grinding on stage and everything like that, he started getting a hard-on. It's like, okay, well, Walter, what does this happen to do with anything? Well, okay. You're telling me that a woman can dress any way she likes. She can dress any way she very well pleases. And, I said the same thing, that these guys, these guys that dress up like women, I said some of them, like Courtney Act, are extremely convincing as women. It's without a doubt. He really looks like a fucking woman. I'm sorry about that. Now I have to put explicit on my contents, which I think I slipped before. Again, there's some other ones, but these are guys. They have penises. They have no breast besides what a man would have. They're men, but they find themselves that they are more attracted to other men. They're homosexuals, and they make a living off of dressing up like women. Drag queens. Now, a drag queen can give a man a hard-on. The same man, Henry Rollins, who says a woman can dress however she likes, and they should be able to do it. Okay, you just told me, though, or told everyone. I'm just saying, I'm focused on myself. You just mentioned, though, that a woman can dress any way she likes, and a man should not think twice about it. He should not get excited over a woman wearing lycra spandex or a ultra tight skirt where her ass cheeks are hanging out. You shouldn't make a big deal out of it. You shouldn't even get excited about it. You got to be a man about that. The same man who was on RuPaul said he was getting turned on from drag queens because they were so convincing as women he forgot himself. So, okay. Well, Walter, what are you trying to tell us then? Well, I'm telling you right now, yes, it's a woman can do whatever she very well damn pleases, but don't come to me then or anyone else that says, well, you know what? If you don't want guys to catcall with you or hoot at you or treat you like a piece of meat or, make you feel like you're being victimized by them, don't complain when I see you walking around in, spandex, or don't act like, oh my God, you're such a pervert. Why are you looking at me like that? Well, you're the one who draw the attention myself. And going back to the same guy, like I said, Henry Rollins, which I found that to be very hypocritical, who just said on stage and openly admitted after he said women can dress whatever how they ever damn well please, is the same man said he was a judge on RuPaul, and he was getting turned on by men that were dressed up like women. So is it because he's attracted to men? No, I seriously doubt it. I think he was being totally sincere. It's because the way the man packaged himself, like I said with the present, having presents, Christmas presents, birthday presents, It was the way they packaged themselves to look like hot women, which it doesn't work for everybody. I could dress up and put a skirt on and a bustier or whatever, and I'll still look like a fugly-looking woman as much as I look like a fugly-looking guy. Bottom line, it's not going to make any difference. But give or take, and if you're already a woman and you already have the parts that make you a woman, and then you, you make that look even better, which I call, again, false advertisement, or just, given a false appearance, then all of a sudden, and then you're going to complain about, well, men need to grow up. It's like, well, it's like if I set myself on fire and then people look at me really strangely. I'm just using this as the most bizarre example. Set myself on fire and then people are looking at me and I say to them, what are you looking at? What's your problem? Well, you're on fire. Well, so why are you looking at me? I find that very offensive. Again, it's just like, to me, I find the whole thing, even that one particular thing, which I've now won into for how long, I find that more offensive that you think that you're not the one who is causing the attention to be drawn to yourself. Like you feel victimized. And I don't buy that for a single millisecond. I mean, I think the whole thing is total bullshit. So, I think maybe I've taken this too far, but the way you stop attention being drawn to yourself is stop drawing attention to yourself in the first place. And then when you do draw attention to yourself, stop the nonsense that says that, oh, I'm victimized. Men are all evil. These WASP Republicans, they treat women like shit. It's like and he even went to that too. Oh, I get Henry Rollins. I get tired when these right wing conservatives say that women draw this to themselves, like that they're asking to be raped. Well, I didn't say that, but since you do mention it, you kind of, I'm not going to say that you do, but it's one of these ambiguous answers I have to give. I'm not going to say you do, but I'm not going to say you don't. How's that? Because I remember I went to like 2 years in a row. I did not go, I think, this past year. I don't know. I don't think I did. But I have a blast. I am, very uncomfortable with gay men. I'll say that right now. My, what do you call it? No, I don't want to use the word homophobic. Like, that's not the right word. Am I... I'm going to go bashing somebody because they're gay. No, because actually it's just because I've been hit on by gay men. And it makes me, because of that, feel very uncomfortable. So, so what I basically do, I try to face my fear. And the closest I've been able to do with that, I have friends that were gay, men and women. The way I face my fear is I, don't let that rule my life. I don't break up my friendship with somebody just because they're gay. I don't give a crap what they do in their personal life. Now, when that person makes me their involvement or their interest, then, yeah, I have a problem with that. But thing is, though, when I went to the RuPaul thing, the last one I really wanted to do this, because, again, I did it twice. But it wasn't until the second time I did a meet and greet. And I had a blast. I got to see, actually I did 2 meet and greets. One was when the one contestant on RuPaul who did not win, he actually did as himself in drag. Well, not as himself, but he was in drag. He played out like a concert event down in, down in Philadelphia at the Truck. And I have a friend calling right now. And he was really cool. I mean, the guy was ultra cool. And that was fun because I got a picture with him. It's up on Facebook. I think it's even on my iWalter account, the picture with him. Dude was like super cool. And he's got like the woman's ass. He's a young guy. He's only in his 20s. And then I remember I went to, again, one of these meet and greets with some of these other drag queens, and I really just got into it because normally I don't feel comfortable with guys that are homosexual hitting on me. But I had a blast, and I was like, the one guy was in drag. I mean, it sounds like, oh, Walter, you're a fag. No, I don't like that word, believe it or not. These are people too. Just because their sexual preference is not the same as mine. The only thing that bothers me, like I said, is if they try to hit on me. I have a comfort level even with women who are too aggressive with me, which has happened in the past. I mean, years ago, I had a woman a girl when I was younger, I was in my early 20s, a girl who just kept on grabbing my ass. But you know what, Walter, you need to toughen up about that stuff. You need not to take it so serious. So the same people who say that, hey, women don't like that stuff, but it's okay if it happens to a guy because it doesn't happen that often. Well, no offense, even if it happens less than 0.1% of the time for men, it still is a double standard that, oh, I can't change that. Well, yeah, you can't change it, but, don't complain about it either when it happens to, I don't want to, that's why I don't like hearing it when women complain about, well, it happens to us more often. Well, on an individual base, that person is equal to me. So if it happens only less than 0.1% of the time where men get sexually assaulted, that one person is equal to me as a single person as well. So bottom line is, I don't want to hear it unless it really is something that they did not ask for. They did not, as a woman, did not provoke in any sense of the word. If for any other reason, I don't want to hear it. Because when I was like in my early 20s, I didn't ask a girl to sexually assault me or anything like that, which I had been in the past. I didn't ask for that. I did not dress a certain way. So for those women who don't ask for sexual advancements or assaults, my heart goes out to like 100% and even more so. For those women who basically draw attention to themselves, like I said, even with the RuPaul thing, then these guys, who I'm sure they're doing it for an act, but those guys, I'm sorry to say, but I'm sure they're probably hit on by aggressive, what do you call it? Aggressive heterosexual males just as much as women. And a lot of that is because they really do not only look like women, but they, by the way they dress just to, do their gig, is definitely drawing a tremendous a lot of attention to them. And I feel bad to say that, but, you're making a living off of this. You enjoy what you're doing. That's fine. But they know what they're getting themselves into as well. Okay, my phone's ringing now. Probably even my other stuff. So my friend Todd, I said he could call in. I would try to actually, do a thing. But I'm in the middle of a podcast. It's actually after an hour and a half. So, the bottom line, I did want to get that out because I just found that, like, I almost had a laugh when I heard Henry Rollins say, well, women can do what or dress or act or dress any way they want to, and a man should just, take it and not act like an idiot about it. Well, no offense. That table goes, or whatever, that situation goes both directions. God, you have, what is it for women where they go to those Chippendales, where the guy wears basically a thing over his crotch, a cover over his crotch, and he's basically showing off his pecs. And what do women do? Do they just sit there and say, oh, wow, that looks pretty nice, and or calm? Or are they trying to rip at these guys' crotches and jumping on stage and throwing dollars in their thong underwear, whatever they wear? I don't know. No offense, but women are equally, if not worse, than men at these, I'm sure, from what I've gathered, at these, like these places like these Chippendale places. But you know what? That doesn't happen as often, so we should not talk about it. No, well, you know what? You don't hear about it as often. How's that? So that whole thing, I'm sorry, folks. I just get really... It just real. I make a big deal out of it, and I take more offense to of these things. I take more offense to it when it's always one-sided. And who does that? It's the same people going back into the politics. It's the same freaking people who are the social media, or television, radio. It's those same people who also convince everyone, and the people who do believe this, by the way, that anybody who will vote for Trump, anybody who is a conservative Republican, anybody who is part of the Tea Party, they're all freaking wackos, nuts, should have tinfoil hats. You should not listen to them. They are the ones who have destroyed our democracy. These same people are the same ones that are saying that women on a daily basis, because Henry Rollins believed this too, on a daily basis, that women are being constantly assaulted and raped on a large scale in colleges. These are those same people. And I'm sorry, but people eat it up. They think this is like, yeah, this is true. I can't believe all this is happening. And I've said this before, and Henry Rollins is one person who believes in all this nonsense. Like, we live in a society, unfortunately, folks, that people want to be victimized. They want to feel helpless. They don't want to be held accountable for what they do. I'm trying to hang up my phone right now as I'm doing the show. Thank God I'm not doing it on my main computer. Oh, wow. Courtney Act actually did the Lady Gaga look one time where she had paint over her face. So I know he's a big fan and she does support him. Now it's kind of funny because, again, I told you I'm an ultra conservative. And some of the stuff that I follow or fund money to are people who don't see eye to eye to me, but I don't change my my thoughts on them, minus that I don't agree with what they do when it comes to politics. Like, their political views are not my political views. I don't, think any less of them. But just because I don't, and this is where the fine line comes, by the way. Even though politically I don't agree with them in any stretch of the imagination, it doesn't make me think any less of them. Now, that same person, if they knew I was ultra conservative, my beliefs in conservatism and in politics, if they knew that, they would say, well, either A, which has happened, they will stop talking to me. The same person, these are the people, by the way, who are so open-minded. Like, they know better. We're not the ones pulling out guns or starting riots. Well, actually, yeah, you are. We're not the ones that are so closed-minded. Yeah, actually, yeah, you are. It's just, the whole thing is total nonsense. But as long as they don't know, or if I don't bring up that stuff, I get along with people that I don't agree with politically very well. So, because like I said before, folks, I didn't mean to stretch it this far. Whoops, sorry about that. I actually kind of turned off my computer almost. It's almost going on 2 hours. I can't believe I did that. Again, I mentioned it the other day. I'll mention again, like Roberto Casada, I really had a real good time talking to him. I mean, I had an excellent time. Will not take that back. The man taught me so much about, like, the insights on production and stuff. I just know that we're not going to ever be on the same page when it comes to politics. But when it comes to entertainment, me and him are like he taught me so much. I mean, that man, Roberto Casada. So do I want to like lose out on somebody who, like, I don't know how else to put it, who honestly benefits me on learning things about the business? Do I really want to give that all up and just keep a closed mind just because this man has certain beliefs in religion and in politics that don't match up to my beliefs and stuff? Absolutely not. I would not want to trade that for anything. Because when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're only, all of us are only on this planet for a short, limited amount of time. And quite honestly, I don't want to lose, that precious time, which I think I would lose even more so by not talking to people. But my problem is, though, I don't like it when people say that they're very open-minded and that I'm closed-minded when not with Roberto Casada. I mean, honestly, that was the first person I met that I can actually, I enjoyed talking to him, and I would do it again. I'd do another interview with him in a heartbeat. But with these people who act like they are so open-minded and don't want to hear your side of the situation, honestly, I'm not going to say, well, you know what, I'm just going to throw the towel on them. But at the same time, do you realize that, honestly, you're a hypocrite? You are a hypocrite in the fact that you don't practice what you preach. Because if you're really like Henry Rollins, I can't really say much. He seemed like a very nice man. But, if you're truly an open-minded person, been worldly educated, like from visiting different countries and stuff, and you truly believe in what you're saying, then if you see somebody like me who is conservative, who does believe in God, or, sometimes I say more so agnostic, meaning that I'm questioning the fact if there is a God or not, or my political views, you should, a truly open-minded person, what are they going to say? Well, even though we don't see eye to eye, I respect your opinion, and it should be left at that. But that never, with the exception, I would have to say, of Roberto Casada, I would have to say that most of the time that does not happen. So I'm going to leave it at that because, God, I really stretched this out for like a good 40 minutes. Though I do apologize about that. Let's see. What did I have? Oh, stories my friend Todd had sent to me. I'm going to kind of go over those now, and I'll have to listen to his voicemails. Actually, he called because he was actually headed home from work. So it would have been a good idea. Let's see. I can't text him right now. I'll just have to email him, I guess. Thank you, Todd. You sent me a story from WNEP.com. Teacher admits to taking video of students. It was in Lewisburg. A former Lewisburg area high school teacher, music teacher, band director, is facing charges as he looked or had taken upskirt videos of female students in 2015 and 2016. For about 15 years, Justin Hill was a teacher in Lewisburg. So this guy was actually a music teacher, and he was apparently taking inappropriate video shots up girls' skirts, up their skirts. You know what? I don't know, and I'm not saying that it's appropriate. Yes, it is inappropriate, but again, I don't know where to take this, because now if I mention that it's a man doing this, all of a sudden, I hate to tell you this becomes a major issue. Now, if the tables were turned somehow, and it was a female teacher doing, not going up guys' skirts, because obviously they don't wear skirts, but grabbing guys' crotches, then all of a sudden it becomes like something of not importance, and what's the big deal? I think, where were these teachers when I was a kid? That's what I always hear. So I'm always going to play on this issue, a person of a different point of view. So another one Todd had sent me, because I'm going to go through these at this point because it's going on 2 hours and it's 3 o'clock in the morning. One Todd had sent me from the New York Post. Principal was brutally beaten after telling a teen to remove his headphones. And this was actually on October 24th. It was like 2 days ago. The principal of at a lower Manhattan high school was beaten to a pulp by a student on Monday when he told the teen to remove his headphone, sources say. So the problem is with that, I would hate to be a school teacher nowadays because of stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's sad that this is what you have when you follow this. I've said this before, this laissez-faire of how you treat kids, or children, because when they get old enough, they have no respect, obviously, for anybody. This guy they said, beaten to a pulp, a teacher, a young guy. Matthew Tossman, Principal Matthew Tossman of Manhattan early college school for advertising, which is inside Murray Burham High School, spotted 18-year-old Louis Penzo with his headphones blasting in the hallway around noon, according to police sources. Well, that kid should get charged as an adult, by the way, in my opinion, because he is of legal age. Tossman asked Penzo, if that's the way you say it, to turn down the music, and Penzo refused. Then when Tossman tried to remove the headphones, the 18-year-old student cold-cocked the principal. Penzo continues to pounce on Tossman, socking him several times in the face, causing swelling and lacerations around both the principal's eyes. Tossman was taken to Lower Manhattan Hospital for treatment. He was later released. Penzo was arrested around 1 p.m. Monday and charged with second-degree assault and felony. So there's a little bit more, but you get the point. You get the gist. I just, I don't know what else to say. Besides, this is with weak, what do you call it? Weak, I'm trying to think of the correct word. Weak parental guidance, for one thing, and just letting people do and act however they want. If it's a way a woman dresses, or what a child, when he talks or she talks back to their parents. There's no discipline, and because of that, no authority figures in these people's lives, or anyone's lives for that matter. This is what you get as an outcome. That's what I like to say. Thank you, Todd. You did send me the story, and I forgot about this one. New York Post, man found dead at airport with genitals in a can of tuna. I did make a lewd comment about that one. Half-naked British man was found dead at a Spanish airport with a slice of ham on each buttock and his genitals in a can of tuna. A death authorities mused may have involved foul play. Well, would you think so? It says Stephen Alford, 51, was discovered face down on a bench outside of Mangala's airport with his hands and feet bound by cables and his pants pulled down, the Mirror of the UK reported. Now, this story was kind of interesting because I was going to read the way I just did. The man had suffered alcoholism, and the strangest fear I've never heard of. Now, this was at a Spanish airport. Now, what makes you think it's foul play? Maybe because he was basically hogtied and mutilated and sexually assaulted? I don't know. I mean, I don't know where it comes in that they think that this man, his death was a cause of foul play. But he had this really weird phobia I never even heard of. And it's a fear of homeless people. It says Alfred, who had suffered from schizophrenia and alcoholism, had regularly begged for money in the area which frequently was basically occupied by homeless. Spanish media report it, but there's one part where it says about this phobia he had I've never even heard of. Yeah, I'm trying to look for it because it was in here in this small story, and I can't even find even a small story. Let's see. Sorry about that. I'm trying to look for the word because maybe people have heard of it before. They keep on going back to the, let's see. Sorry, it was our case. It's got to be in right after what I read. Okay, here we go. It says this man, Alfred, make sure I got his name right. Yeah. He also may have been a victim of hobophobia, a fear of hostility towards the homeless, according to the Hantanio Observatory, which investigates prejudice against vagrants. Yeah, it does say vagrants, Vagrants. So I've heard of everything like weird phobias, but that one I've never heard of. Yeah, it's, again, what was it called? Because it was so strange, though. The phobia of homeless people. It was like, you got to be kidding. There's a phobia for, like, literally everything. Let me see if I can find it again. Yeah, it's called hobophobia. It's like, haven't you left anything out of like phobias then? Hobophobia. I'm sorry, I can't even say it, and it's like a simple one. I just think it's so hilarious that, yeah, this guy probably even, amongst his other ailments, he actually suffered from hobophobia, that he had a, what do you call it? A phobia against homeless people. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but I just find the whole thing kind of entertaining. That might actually, I'm pretty sure, I've said this before, this might be the last story, and I come up with like 30 other stories. Honestly, I think this time I really don't have any other stories. So, sorry about that, folks. And it is actually going on 2 hours, and I kind of didn't expect it to take this long. Oh, you know what? I'm going to bite my tongue because I do want to mention one last thing, folks. I promise you this will be the last thing for tonight, and I'll be heading off. When I was talking earlier tonight about Horror 24/7, one movie that I know I used to see it, I never actually watched it, but it was on Horror 24/7, and it's free again. You get it on any of your media devices, or on if you have a smart TV, smart watch. I don't know about that. I did get my other smartwatch for work now in the mail, which I'm going to be ready to. It's ready to wear tomorrow at my job. Anyway, it was a movie called Body Parts. I really was intrigued by it. It's an older film, much older film, 1991 to be exact. Jeff Fahey plays in there. He plays the main character. The movie is quite bizarre, but it was actually very interesting too. It's about like this criminal who was like a hideous criminal serial killer or something like that, who basically has all his body parts donated for other, people that need limbs. So, yeah, it's the most intriguing film I've ever seen. I'm sure it never did that well, but I definitely would put it on a list of horror movies that you should go see. I think, because I thought it was really good. I was just watching it tonight. But, yeah, apparently the limbs that were used for people who, like one guy needed 2 legs. He was an amputee, I guess. Another guy needed an arm. Another guy needed an arm, which would be Jeff Fahey. These body parts seem to, like, have what I don't know how to put it, but they seem to have subsided in these parts of this guy's body who was a killer. The what do you call it? I can't even think of the correct word right now, but they wanted to continue on where this guy left off. The premise was with the main character of Jeff Fahey. What he said is, where does evil subside? Does it subside in the soul? Does it subside in the head? In the mind, or does it subside in every speck? Every speck of that human entity, that person's body. Is it just not only in one, in the soul? If a person is truly, according to this film, which I've never seen before until now, if a person's truly evil, does that evil stop with the heart and soul, or the mind, or does it go even further yet? And according to this film, no, it's actually in every part of that person. It's not just in one individual part, but everywhere in that person. And that was actually very interesting. I mean, again, the film is really good, and I only caught the tail middle to the end, and I was actually I was really shocked. So yeah, I mean, these are films, like I said, you can check out on Horror 24/7, because trust me, it always gets to the point where they're gonna actually show the film again. So it's not oh, hey, it's on Horror 24/7 now. No, because it's a free network, so what can I say? It's not they're never going to show the movie again. They're probably going to show it 50 more times before they actually change over, to other films. So, and that's good and bad. I mean, if you really like a film, trust me, you're going to be able to watch it again at some point in time, within the next few hours, or whatever you want to say. So, but yeah, it's funny because I remember. It's funny if it's weird with me because if these films are on Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever, honestly, I probably will never really kind of watch them. But when they end up being on something like regular television, cable, now on Horror Network, because I kind of want to be surprised or almost have dictated to me what I should watch. It's kind of weird. I don't know why I'm like that either. I think most people are, at least my mother's like that. So, yeah, Body Parts was definitely a movie to watch. They actually got this movie on now. They show quite a lot. Let me see if I can get the name up. And it's got Cannibal Girls. That's a cult classic. It's uncut. That movie actually has two of the comedians that used to be on SCTV. And they're playing in this... what do you call it? Kind of horror movie. What do you call those? Exploitation, kind of horror movie called Cannibal Girls. So I'd say check that out too. Anyway, folks, it's going on 2 hours. I apologize for lingering on so long. Hopefully I was able to keep some people's attention. Oh, I did forget one other thing, by the way. I was mentioning to friends, but I probably didn't do a very good job of explaining. I'll try to explain it again. But when I did open up another Facebook page, one of the things I wanted to do that for was so I can actually make one specifically for my business, non-professional business. I'm not getting paid for it, but my business of doing these podcasts. So I set one up, and it was I figured, because I always see these commercials on TV, oh, you should make a professional web page for Facebook, because Facebook actually does get a lot of a lot of viewers, and it actually can help your business grow if you do it properly. So I kind of did my own generic Facebook page for my iWalter account. So it was yeah, that's pretty cool. So anyway, I put $7 in. I put $1 a day for 7 days, and it was yeah, you know what? That's more than enough, because I don't really have a large listener base. So I won't go any further, and then $1 a day. Well, that ran out, and it did get me a couple people, I think. So thank you if you're one of those listeners who actually are now listening to me from my iWalter account. But it ran out, and I was like, you know what, I'll try it one more time for another 7 days. Hopefully it's only going to, continue where I left off. Well, it didn't. It actually, just as of 2 days ago, it set up my account where it was withdrawing $50 a day for, trying to reach out to people, $50. So that was a lot more than I expected, but I stopped at, I think I nipped that in the bud, because they said, oh yeah, after 7 days, your iWalter account is going to owe Facebook, which they basically automatically withdraw from my bank account because I had it set up that way. After 7 days, I would owe $350, not including tax, on on my promotional thing for my iWalter account. So it was like, you know what, that $350 can be spent much better. I mean, it's great. It's great that, hey, they do promotions, because they did promote the crap out of my thing. Within hours, it said they were able to reach out to 1,200 people. I had like 1,200 people that it reached out to. Not that they all listened, but it at least reached 1,200 sources. And they give you all the statistics. That was kind of impressive. Again, I ended up getting a bill for like $50-some for that one day. It was like, okay, this has got to stop, and it's got to stop right now. So, I mean, hey, the only thing was, on the lighter note, though, I actually got more likes from that one day than I've ever gotten in 2 years. That's what's really scary. From my iWalter, thing. So, but it reached out. I'm trying to look for these post-reach. Now that I stopped it, obviously, it's also stopped that. I'm looking at it right now. But yeah, I reached quite a few people, believe it or not, in such a short period of time. The only thing was, I can't afford $400, $300. I don't have that kind of money, because that would pay for my car insurance for the next 6 months. But it was kind of impressive when it lasted for even those few hours. Will I do it again? If I do, I'm going to make sure that I pay much closer attention to how I do this, because I don't want to end up with like a $400 bill. But yeah, it did go. It said total page views were 40% higher, but you're talking out of 1,200 instead of just 2, which I normally get. And that was on the 25th, which was just yesterday. Page likes, actually, from October 25th, was up by 250% just from that one day. That one day actually created that much traffic. On my Facebook page for my iWalter blogcast, which, it obviously gave a link to that too. So, overall, it was very impressive. Now, if I had the money that I could kind of waste like that, I would have definitely maybe not gone with $20 or $50 a day, but it was just amazing, if this is true, how it definitely increased people at least checking me out. Now, I even mentioned to my one friend, Matt, you know what, if you really want to get like advertisement that people will notice, because a lot of everyone under the sun is on Facebook in some way. There's very few people who are not. This would be the way to do it. This would definitely be the way to go. So I kind of mentioned that to a friend, because again, I got 1,200 people that were exposed to, where they advertised it somewhere on Facebook. Some other way was 1,200 people within the matter of hours. So again, that was like, wow, I just can't afford that. So why I'm bringing this up at the very last part of the segment, what I was thinking about, God, you know what? If I really wanted to push not even with my show, but my interest in Donald Trump, the way to do it would be obviously through my podcast, for one thing. And two would be, in addition, I could even, because I do talk a lot about this upcoming election on my podcast, is to advertise it through Facebook on my iWalter account. Because if I had the money, I could just throw out the window. Like, I could just basically, hey, you can take all this money. Here's a couple $1,000s. I would do it on Facebook again. And knowing that within the matter of like less than 8 hours, I was able to reach 1,200 people. Not that they all like checked out then my Spreaker page, but they did check out my Facebook page referring to the Spreaker page. So, because I've noticed this with myself in the past, where I don't think anybody's actually paid attention to me. But then I find out as a rude awakening, I got myself in trouble because, the right people were listening in, and they either, well, mostly it's not even either one way or other. They don't appreciate what I was saying, and got myself into trouble. So, my voice does get heard by the correct people, the incorrect people, whatever you want to say. So the bottom line is, though, that being said, if I could reach people through my Facebook Spreaker account, more so by spending that kind of money, if I had the money, I would definitely do this. I would definitely push my thing up until the November 8th election, if I could afford to. Just knowing that I'd be hitting like 1,200 people, 2,000 people a day by doing so. Because most of what I'm talking about is not only my opinion, but it's also, on opinion on everyday life, but it's my opinion on what I feel very strongly about on political issues. And that would be reaching, again, maybe 2,000 people per day. So if I had that extra $400, because that 7 days would bring me even closer to the, going into a November date. And if I was able to influence people, and that would be able to influence, I'm just theoretically thinking, not that this would be true, maybe a couple thousand people to like vote for Trump. That $400 would be well worth every penny. Trust me. If I knew that would happen. That's all I'm saying, folks. So, everyone, thank you very much. This is Walter from iWalter. You have a good morning. It is Wednesday, 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30. Have a good morning. I am signing off for now. Thanks again.